Hi, so I wanted to do a video on how I found out I am autistic, because I started watching people's content and really connected with it, and then I got a diagnosis and found out. However, it wasn't that simple, and that's why I want to make this video, because I think that it's important to have people whose experience relate to yours, or related to mine anyway. And I haven't necessarily found people's videos who related to mine, but I have read about it, so I wanted to make this video. So, where to start? I went to an all-girls school. I did a load of random jobs. I had massive life anxiety. Like, since I was a kid, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was quite good at all the jobs I did, but I would burn out very quickly. And then I was working as a support worker, and I absolutely loved this job. Like, you have no idea. I love this job, and when I love something, I love it, love it, love it. And when I was working there, and then COVID happened, so it became really peaceful outside, and I just felt really relaxed in a way that I hadn't before. Like, I was like, wow, like, I think I used to have like a lot of anxiety or something, but now I feel great, even though I couldn't see anyone. And so I just like was reading a lot and running to work, and I felt really healthy, and my apartment was tidy for the first time ever. So everything in my life seemed to be going perfect. And then there was like a few areas which weren't, and I couldn't make sense of it. So when I was at work, I was getting triggered by like the sounds of the fire brigade and ambulance in a way that I didn't notice I was before. Like, I started like rocking, I was like humming and like gritting my teeth, and I started to get like quite angry. So, and I was like spinning a lot on my chair, and basically like any loud sound was like starting to really bother me. I had so many meltdowns. I was like burst into tears at work. And then I would have like this fit of like rage where I just get so angry. So I was like, okay, something's happening. Like, this isn't normal, Jules. Then I would just like go home at the end of the day, and then I'd be so relaxed, and I would just like do my drawing and like calm down. But I've realized that whenever I went to a supermarket or like a shop, I would have like these like, it sounds so weird when I talk about it, but like I would have like these intense flashbacks from when I was a kid, like of like different times in my life, and I was like, oh, like that's really sad, like why am I thinking of that? Well, this is really distressing. And it got to the point where I was just like, I can't go in supermarkets anymore, any shop, because I'm just having like all these weird memories. Like, okay, this is strange. And then then I started like just eating at work. And I was actually taking the toilet roll and food from work home, because I didn't know how to tell people that I couldn't go to the shop without feeling stupid. And then when I was at the supermarket, I was like, I felt like I didn't know how to interact with the person behind the till. And everyone was, I don't know, I feel like everyone had this to a degree, but like, so one thing, I have ADHD as well. And when I go supermarket shopping, I don't go with a list. I go in and I will panic buy whatever I see and leave. And it's the only way that I know how to do it, because if I take a list, I actually feel more stressed because I'm relaxed. And then sounds, noises, lights actually really start to bother me, and I become angry at packaging. I have a thing against packaging. And so now we're in this time where like, okay, you've got to follow these lines. So I have to think in a certain order, and I can't go back. And I was just, yeah. Anyway, then it got to the stage where I started like humming, like by myself a lot. And then I started screaming by myself. I don't really want to get into it, to be honest, because it was kind of traumatic. But basically I was just, in the time I was spending alone in my apartment, I felt fine, kind of fine. But then anything outside of that, I was just like, yeah, I noticed I was running. And then I found talking to people at work really difficult. Like, I felt like I couldn't tell if they were being serious or not. I couldn't read their facial expressions. If things got changed at work that weren't like the normal routine, I was getting so angry in a way that like I didn't think I did before. and I felt like really ashamed by this. Then I think part of the flashbacks was like also me being like, Jules, like this has actually been here your whole life, like you've just been hiding it. Like look at all these instances like coming back to you. Anyway, I carried on until the point where, well, I wanted to take a break because like I knew there was something wrong. My manager was probably like, wow, this chick's a bit weird, like she's so dramatic. So then I wanted to book time off work, but I couldn't book time off work because I didn't know how to use the scheduling thing online. And this went for like weeks, and I kept asking for help, and then they would give me help, but then I still didn't understand how to do it. And I think I became so anxious by the fact that clearly they were giving me these obvious instructions that like I couldn't follow. I'm not very good at computer stuff. And then one day I just stopped going in, and then it kind of went from bad to worse. Well, it kind of got better for a bit. Anyway, then I guess during this time as well, because I knew that there was something wrong, I was like, okay, I'm going to write down all the things that I'm going through. And it kept saying like childhood trauma, like sexual abuse, or like autistic. And I was like, well, I am not autistic, but I hear people can have suppressed memories from childhood abuse. And I did have a lot of memories that were like coming back to me, but I didn't have any necessarily of like being abused as a kid. Like I remembered having interactions with people that made me feel very uncomfortable, but like it wasn't necessarily abuse. But I just assumed I must have had some suppressed memory because I obviously wasn't autistic. And then I ended up getting sectioned, and I was in there for 12 days, and they kept trying to like dig into this abuse that I didn't really have anything better to say about. And I said like, what about me being autistic? Like, could I be autistic? And they were like, no, you have too good at social skills to be autistic. And they were like, I've seen autistic people, you're not like them. I was just like, what do you mean? Like, what does them even mean? Like, I feel like the way it's described, I feel like that's me. So then after 12 days of being there, worst time of my life, forced to take medication, it was horrible. I got an appointment with a psychologist, and turns out I am autistic. Now, there are a bunch, since then I've like read a lot of journals about being autistic, and I fit a lot of the categories. So like disordered eating, is it disordered eating or eating disorders? I don't know, I go through periods where I forget to eat and then I eat loads. And then sensitivities, like sometimes I find I'm sensitive, other times I'm not sensitive to certain things. There was quite a lot of areas on it that I fit. There was some that I couldn't relate to. But then I think I was almost like scared to look, because it was like the more I looked, the more I found. Just like even like funny eating patterns. But yeah, that's the story of how I learned that I was autistic. If you have any questions, please ask me. I made this video because I want people to like, I don't know, either if you connect with my experience, I just don't want anyone to feel alone like I did. Yeah, so please ask me questions. I hope you like this, and I'll reply to them as much as I can. Thank you.